If you're a real estate investor, and especially if you're looking into short-term rentals, you've got to eliminate these 5 markets in 2025. So stick with me. I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you the 5 markets, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 that you need to eliminate off of your investing checklist. Then I'm going to give you the 5 tertiary markets, the secondary markets that should be on your list for investing in 2025. Let's go. All right, my name's Bill Faith. I'm the founder of Build Short-Term Rental Wealth. I'm a real estate investor with a $22 million short-term rental portfolio. I've been investing in real estate for 30 years. I've done 37 startups. I've done 31 exits, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a shit. What you care about is investing into real estate if you're watching this podcast or other business stuff. So that's why today I'm going to share with you one of my secrets when I'm investing. And I bought 71 short-term rentals since 2015. Is elimination. So a lot of you get really hung up in trying to run performance and identify way too many markets to invest into. So it's okay to write really at the beginning to start looking at 5, 6, 7, even 10 markets. But after about an hour, you need to nail that down and be looking in no more than 3 markets. Then that's process of elimination, right? So you have to be determined and make a decision before you even start looking into markets. You need to make a decision on one, why are you investing? Are you investing for cash flow? Are you investing for appreciation? Or are you investing into the 4 pillars that I am always looking for? Cash flow is my number 1 priority. Then appreciation is my number 2 priority. Debt paydown is number 3. Then taxes become number 4, right? So I have to look at all 4 of those things. And when I'm running through my super property grader to analyze properties, I'm putting all of those as my priority. A lot of you are looking for appreciation. If you're wealthy, you probably can do with minimal cash flow, maybe even break even, but you're looking for appreciation. If you're just getting started, cash flow is the key, right? So you have to eliminate markets first. And a lot of people don't do that. You get bogged down with paralysis by analysis. And that's why I want you to go through the super grader first. You can find a link to the super grader down in the comments below. This is the exact spreadsheet that I use. And I'm going to give you kind of a news flash. I don't run a pro forma until the back end. Here's why. The super grader is going to help you forecast potential of an investment for a property. Pro formas, whether they're mine or Ryan Bakey's or Kenny Bedwell's or whoever's, are designed to mitigate your risk. Let that sink in. So download my super grader. Literally, I'm looking at it right here. It's the super property competitor grader. And I'm giving you training on how to use it. It's 100% free. And this is going to change the way that you're investing into any type of real estate, most importantly, short-term rental. So why are you here today? Let's talk about those 5 markets that you need to eliminate right off the bat. And it's really simple. Most of you are turning to Facebook groups like the Build Short-Term Rental Wealth that I have. There's 100 Facebook groups out there in the short-term rental space, and I see it every day in my group. I've got 33,000 members. You can join down below. Click that link as well. Where should I invest? What's the hot markets right now? Well, I'm going to tell you there are good markets and there are bad markets based on that decision that you make and how you are going to invest and what you want to get out of it. So because most of you, almost all of you, get paralysis by analysis, it's the process of elimination. So I'm going to run through, and number 1 is you shouldn't follow the herd. When people say, hey, I'm in this market or, invest here, a lot of that, you don't know when they bought, you don't know what they paid for it. Most of you don't even know your bottom line. You have no idea what your true net income is because you're not running P&Ls. You're not doing QuickBooks. You don't have a bookkeeper every single month. You're not treating it like a business. So why the heck do you want to take advice from them? So I'm going to give you the 5 markets that people recommend that you should not be vesting into, unless when I get to the 4th market, I think the 4th market that I'm going to share with you here is a good market to invest into if you're already independent wealthy and you're looking for appreciation. But it's very challenging to cash flow in this market, and a lot of people look into it. First thing, it's a beach market when they're thinking about beach, as opposed to going to the secondary market where you're looking at 30 to 40% less barrier cost entry, and you're literally going to generate more cash flow. So Number one market that I would not invest into, it's not really a market, it's a state, and that's California. And no hate on California. I know the fires are going on now. Let's pray for everybody that's out there. I grew up there. I'm a Southern California native. I love to go visit the state, but I left because it is not pro business. The entry costs are too high. The operational costs are too high. Electricians, plumbers, handymen, cleaners, way higher than if you go next door to Nevada or move over into Arizona. And this is what I want you to understand. When I give you these 5 markets, there is a lot of opportunity in the United States. So you can go elsewhere. It's not that hard to self manage remotely. I self manage remotely all of my owned properties and all of my co hosted properties. And it's just me and my wife. I do 90% of it. She does the back office. And I literally have no VAs that help me. Right. So you don't even need to have a team of VAs. You don't need to have all this stuff. It's you just need to understand the SOPs. You need to understand automation. You need to understand how to set everything up. But there is almost zero chance that I will ever invest into California again. You look at regulation is just absolutely volatile. You look at operational costs, you look at taxes. That's why I am not touching California. Even if I lived there, I would not invest in that state because there's too much opportunity elsewhere. The second market is the Poconos. I'm not investing in the Poconos for very similar reasons, but the two big ones, once again, a regulation, the pockets of regulation there are really, really challenging. Literally, the HOA regulation, the different township regulations are very, very challenging, and it's ever changing. It's like where I live in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a reason I have never invested where I live, and that's in Nashville, is because all the way back to 2012, the regulation has just been one of the most volatile cities in the entire country. The other thing is saturation. Now, the caveat that I want to give to you guys here, you can go into the Poconos, you can go into any of these markets if you use the super property grader and you find things that are unique. Just last night, I had Inner Circle, one of my Inner Circle. We do coaching calls with all 11 of my coaches every 2 weeks. And last night, I literally had one of my members put one of the most unique properties that I've seen in the last 2 months under contract. The interesting part about that, the people that all of you guys turn to help you find properties, is Kenny Bedwell or myself. And Kenny Bedwell, the property finder, founder of STR Insights, the previous day, him and I are talking about this property. I called him and I said, "What do you think about this property?" He's very familiar with it. And I was looking at it and thinking about purchasing it. He was recommending that property to some of his buyers, but nobody had jumped onto it. One of my Inner Circle members asked me about it, and I'm like 100%. But it doesn't really underwrite with data from Revity, Mashvisor, STR Insights, AirDNA. You really got to use the super property competitor grader to figure that out and make it work. So I'm really excited for her. I'm not going to name her name and really tell you exactly where it is, but it's unique. It's on the West Coast. It's not in California. And those are hard things to find in the Poconos unless you build them yourself. Number 3 is Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, man, it is just so saturated. And once again, it's hard to find things that are unique that are there. The pricing is low. When you look at beach climates, it's North Carolina. The climate's not great. I would much rather see you guys. I'm going to give you the tertiary market now, just so you have kind of the example. I'd much rather see you guys going to the Outer Banks, right? But even when you go and you invest into the Outer Banks, you need to really do the research into those micro markets. So I invested into the Outer Banks about 16 months ago with a friend of mine. My first partnership deal I'd ever done in any place actually, and 2 6-bedroom, 6 baths beachfront. But it's in a very small sector. The only part of the Outer Banks, I'm going to give it to you, that I would invest into, if you're familiar with it, you drive over to the island, or whatever it's called, peninsula, I don't know. But anyways, on the Kitty Hawk Bridge, right? And you go over and you're in South Duck. And then you turn left and you head north. And about 3 miles, 2.5, 3 miles north of that is where property number 1 is. It is a half a mile south of the epicenter, which is Duck, North Carolina. The second property is about 2 miles north of Duck. And literally, it's where you have coastal views and you have ocean views. There's only one line of houses, right? And then it's at South Corolla. And you go past that, and then where the island opens up, in the Corolla, I'm not investing there. So there's like this 4 to 6 mile, probably 5-6 mile range from the Kitty Hawk Bridge going north about 5 miles. And that's the only place that I'm investing into short-term rentals, and I'm only buying beachfront. Now, this is for somebody that has plenty of cash to be able to buy beachfront. And when you do, you got to understand in that market, most of these properties are not taken care of. So you better be prepared for at least 200,000. I think we spent over 400 to 450,000 on each of those properties to replace siding, sliding glass doors, windows, add hot tubs, kind of gut the whole thing and redo it. So that's my tertiary market to Myrtle Beach is going to be the OBX. The fourth one is 30A. That whole area of 30A, and that's different than Panama City Beach and it's different than Miramar and Destin, right? 30A is just, I don't want to say it's overpriced because you can get some great appreciation in 30A. But if you want cash flow, I'm not even going to PCB or to Miramar or to Destin. I'm going to Gulf Shores where I've been for many, many years. And I think I've had over 37, 38 properties. Actually, I'm probably over 40 now. I don't know exactly in Gulf Shores, right? As I said earlier in this podcast, the barrier to entry, the cost is 30 to 40% less, right? The literally I can go and I just took my wife and my youngest daughter there for fall break, right? Go vacation in 30A, go take advantage of the clearer water, the nicer beaches, the better food options, right? But you're going to make more money in Gulf Shores. So as an example, I've got a 6-bedroom 4-bath with a pool tier 2 property in Gulf Shores. It's worth about $2 million today. I built it 3 years ago for $900,000, right? So I got $1.1 million in equity. It used to be a $350,000 a year property when I had open lots in front of me and I could market it as almost beachfront. Now there's a house going up right in front of me. Probably going to go from, I think I did 329, 330 in 2024. I'm anticipating probably dropping around to somewhere around 265 to 285 this year. That is still an incredible investment for a $900,000 property. It's still, even return on equity is a great investment because I operate that at about 40%, 42% net last year, right? So if I do 280, I'm probably still going to do 140, 150 net. Not worth it for me to sell. Now, if I take that same property, I pick it up and I go drop it in 30A, tier 2, you're talking 4 to 5 million, right? Can't pencil that out. And those properties are not going to do $300,000 a year. They're probably going to do 150 to maybe 200,000 if you're really good, 200 to $225,000 a year. That's why I like Gulf Shores. The last market is the Texas coast. It's Crystal Beach, it's Galveston, it's even South Padre Island. There's a lot of people that have been exiting there. Everyone knows about the place. Everybody's struggling there. I don't know of anybody, even, I look at Rowbuilt, great operator, and he's had issues having to put in like mini golf courses to separate and compete. So what happens is I would much rather see you go to Mississippi and the Biloxi area if you're lower entry costs, if you're in the $300,000, $400,000 range. I'd rather see you not really in Dauphin Island, but in Fort Morgan, Alabama. I'd rather see you divert your money into that Alabama market because you can, lower cost in Fort Morgan, gets a little bit more expensive as you move into the West Beach of Gulf Shores area, gets a little less expensive as you get into the East Beach side, then gets more expensive as you keep going east into Orange Beach, comes down a little bit in the Perdido Key as you just get into that Florida, Georgia line kind of in Floribama. Those are the 5 markets that I would be staying away from if you're really looking for cash flow. And I want to give you a caveat. If you are really good at underwriting, like I am with my super property grader, if you're really good at revenue management like I am, and you're really good at marketing like I am, and then you have a history of outperforming the market, then you can still find diamonds in the rough there in those markets. They're investable, but most of you don't have enough patience to be able to wait for the right opportunity, right? So that's why instead of going to 30, I'd rather see you guys in Gulf Shores or Fort Morgan, Alabama, instead of the Smokies, which I did not put on my list. That's why I went to Banner Elk. And that's one of the things, like if you go into the Smokies right now, think about what you have to do after purchase to compete. You're either paying up front for the indoor pool, putting a mod pool outside, having to put in a $50,000 game room. When I went into Banner Elk 2.5 years, actually it'll be 3 years, actually in February next month. And I bought my first property. There were only 2 properties with like converted garages into game rooms and that type of stuff. Nobody had the crazy stuff. Well, I went in there and I took a 3-car garage, already had a bathroom, put a wall up, put a mural up, moved the pool table out of the main house, put it into the garage, took the furniture out of the main house, put it in the garage. So I created like this movie theater area, dropped in a shuffleboard, pool table, ping pong table, 4 or 5 arcade one-up games, a pub table, and I'm good to go, right? Literally did it for less than 20,000 bucks. I think it was like 15 or 16,000 bucks 3 years ago. But now people have come in to compete with me. I've also got a small little game room in the main house. But it's a unique property. Nobody has been able to replicate what I have there, and I didn't have to make the huge after purchase investments that you have to make in the Smokies. Instead of investing into Scottsdale, Arizona, look at Cave Creek, look at Mesa, look at the secondary and the tertiary cities around it, as opposed to overpaying in Scottsdale and having to deal with the regulation if they ever start enforcing that. Instead of Myrtle Beach, we talked about the OBX, right? So if you want to learn more about that, if you're one of the big money investors, then just DM me. You can see literally right there is my Bill Face 73 on Instagram. You should follow me anyways. I put out great content every day, but shoot me a DM and I can give you a little bit more information on that secondary market. And as I said earlier, instead of the Texas coast, I'd probably, if you're a low budget, I would look at Mississippi and then move over into Fort Morgan if you can be in that $700,000 range and higher. You can still find properties in Fort Morgan, Alabama, 700, 800, 850 that are tier 2 and tier 3 that if you have the right skills, you can still do $150,000 to $200,000 a year in revenue. But that's going to take a lot of off-platform marketing, really solid revenue management, right? So I just want you to really understand that I believe I can invest into any market because I have those skills in the country, but I'm still being patient. I'm still looking for the properties that the major data sets cannot underwrite. Let that sink in again. Most of you, when you go and you find a property and then you run it through AirDNA, you run it through STR Insights, and it tells you that it's not going to be able to do the revenue that you think, you stop. Like, stop. But then it's time to collaborate and listen. That's a little throwback for my Vanilla Ice friends out there. Because literally, that's why I use the super property grader before a performa. I'm actually using Avery Carl's enemy method to go through and look at my comps first, right? And I'm going through, and I'll just give you a little sneak peek. I rate the categories I'm going to give to you on a scale of 1 to 10. And I start with the property that I'm looking at. Location, proximity, views, landscape, interior design, interior amenities, outdoor amenities, marketability, huge one, uniqueness, host ratings, and listing quality. Listing quality is a little bit subjective. You got to know how to do listing optimization. You can also take that and put it into Rank Breeze and see where it ranks compared to, is it on first page? Is it on second page? So I'm doing that type of level. Then I'm going in and I'm putting in the list price, then the projected price by the data tools. Then I'm doing my projected revenue and I'm putting the links, bedroom count, beds, guest occupancy, missing amenities, standout amenities, square footage, game room. All that stuff is going into the factorization, and I'm doing that for a minimum of 8 properties. Links down below, get my free spreadsheet, and you can get the super property grader. So now I'm really able to have an understanding, one of the marketplace, 2 of the sub-marketplace, and all the competitors. Then I can go through, I can use AirDNA, STR Insights, I can use the marketing grader or report inside of Price Labs. I can use whatever data sets that I want to use to be able to pull rental data, but I'm also doing that manually as I'm going through this process inside of those listings, right? So that's how I'm doing it. Once I decide that I'm ready to make an offer and I've got that information, that's when I'm running the performa. When I'm doing a good, better, and best scenario. So I'm running a minimum of 3 performas, and then I'm going to use the just in case you fuck up. So if you've never heard me talk about this before, I used to play professional golf, and our yardage books that were made on the PGA Tour always had a yardage. If you're a golfer, you'll understand what I'm saying. So when you're a professional golfer, you should be hitting it down the middle every time, right? But we all mess up. Blow it right in the trees. That would be the recovery yardage to get to the bunker or the tree or the center of the fairway over there, like a 50, 60, 70 yard. And they used to call it, and there was the acronym, just in case you fuck up. So JIKF, whatever. So those are the things that become really important. So I am doing a 10% reduction on revenue, and I'm doing a 10% addition on expenses, because most of you, when I look at your performance, are underestimating expenses. So now I've got the 20% just in case you F up delta, and literally, if I have that, I cannot make a mistake. So if I eliminate the best performa and I eliminate the good performa and I go with the better in the middle, I've got a 20% security because of the just in case I F up. Think about that for a second. What you've just learned now are 5 markets to stay away from. You've learned 5 tertiary markets that are more investable than those primary, popular, following the herd markets. You've literally gone through and now you have access to my super property grader down below, and you know how to use the Performa to make sure you do not make a bad investment. If any of that you believe is going to benefit you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.